What up, family? This is your boy Gerald. It is Friday, the 24th of February, 2017. How is everybody doing? You have made it to the backside of your week, and I congratulate you because you have sidestepped the negative. You grounded your feet, you spoke your truth, and you placed God first. I congratulate you to a week where you've had to put investment in to the most important commodity, and that's your life. Because if you don't do it, who's gonna do it? Hmm? See, we live in a world that they've got it so twisted up. They want you to feel a certain kind of way when it comes to taking care of what matters most. They want to turn around and say, "Well, you know, if you focus on you, you're being shallow. You're being negative. You're being selfish." But trust and believe, all things resonate from your heart. So we are what we attract because it comes from within ourselves. So it is very important that you have a connection with yourself. You can't buy that. You can't make it to fake it. It is organic. It is pure. It is you. So do you know who you are? Because I'm going to tell you what, the people that want access or maybe lying in the wait that have been there the whole time, hope that you don't. They are terrified. They are terrified that you will have that epiphany and you will awaken to take your rightful place that was already done. Because see, that's what the deceiver does, family. He tries to use the social environment to not only sway your perceptions, but manipulate the outcome. But we also know this: if it's not blessed, it will not stand. But I get it, because we live in a world where they want to uh, filter out your spirituality. I mean, let's call it spade a spade. You got some people that don't want you to think. They want you to be a cookie cutter and be in the image of them, but they will all come to see, because everything that's playing out is very prophetic, because right now they think they're winning. But the Most High said it best: those who are first shall be last, and those who are that are last shall be first. And that's a reason, because in the transition of that will become humility. Real recognizes real. You cannot be me, and I cannot be you. So therefore, there is a responsibility that you be the best you. So I ask you again: do you know who you are? Do you know? If you don't like what you see, what's keeping you in that environment? What's keeping you in that state of mind? What's got you latched to your denial? Because there's a lot of people that I don't want to speak what's evident, but there's a whole lot of people walking around this planet, mental health disorders. You know, some of our elders used to say back in the day, people believe their own BS. But really, the BS is nothing but a false belief of a thought. So you got to ask yourself, how did the behavior before it? Because let me correct myself. How did an action become a behavior, which once was progressive? So there was a pattern, which was before that a thought. Who was the influence? How did it get there? And why was it embraced? Who is the illustration to your motivation? Do they have your best interest, or is it nothing but a chess move already calculated for your delay? This is evidently being played out right before your family, but it is doing that for one sole purpose, to see if you got the message. If you're habitually seeing the same thing play out, it's because it's going to play out like an old film clip. You know, back in the day, when they had the film projectors, and at the end of the film, it kept doing the, you know, you saw the numbers, and it just, and that's what's going on with a lot of people. That's what's going on with you, because you've seen the same plot, you've seen the same end result. You know why? Because it's required for you to act upon it. But let's call a spade, because we have become convinced that it's okay not to claim you. It's okay not to make a decision. It's okay to dumb down. And you know why? Because the people that are putting out the false narrative, that's where they want you. You're not a threat. So they're going to make sure that with non-accountability, that all things are placed as they should. So when you happen to trip, slip, and bust your lip, there's no accountability there. But in actuality, these were the archetypes required already preset. But see, the bigger negative, the biggest narrative, never spoken, but always evident, is the power of free will. Haven't you noticed that? Nothing, not even your reaction, can take placement without you being there. How about indirectly? Why be worried about what someone else is doing if it doesn't directly have anything to do with your five senses? Because it's spiritual, family. But I got that, because we live in a world where the atheists call shots, the Luciferians make moves, and the non-believer is in doubt. So does it surprise you that those who do, you're going through some tests? You're going through some tests. But think about it. Do you think he wants just anybody? No, he wants you. So if you fall on your own sword, that's by your own doing. That's why we also know this. We teach people how to be treated. So if you desire communication, shouldn't you have those traits? It comes by way of your transparency. How can you tell somebody, hey, I want you to keep it real, when you refuse to do it yourself? When you get tired of running around the basis of your life, which is nothing but symbolic of the same thing that the children of Israel did for 40 years around that mountain. If they did not surrender their pride and ego, they could have got to the promised land long ago, quicker. But some didn't even make it. Some were calculated casualties by their own doing, because they didn't want to accept the truth that there was someone greater than you. Some of y'all are starting to allow those wounds to heal. Some of y'all are allowing those scars to serve as reminders of days past. So at the least, that should let you know this. If it was destined for that to be your reality, why aren't you there? Did you hear me? If it was destined to be your reality, why aren't you there? Because God got something better for you. But unfortunately, we live in a very narcissistic world where they can't afford that you have clarity because they know that the more clarity they have, the more movement you're going to gain. And that makes them terrified. Mind you, there are those who don't want you around that look just like you. I don't know why we're giving passes. There are people that have the philosophy of if you're breathing, you're taking up space for me because they see you less than. Hmm? Why are we overlooking that? Hmm? But I know I also understand it goes back to this. If you choose not to invest in you, how can you protect what's needed? You don't know you, so why? What do you? What do you? What needs foundation? What needs support? And does that not kind of parallel your environment because they're a representation of you? Like-minded attracts like-minded. Maybe that's the reason why people are so covertly angry. Why you mad, Cletus? Why you so angry? You're angry because you don't have communication skills. That's the truth. That's why you feel that you must use physicality to get your point across, but that all that does is make you come off primal. And it also makes you come off not an adversary at all. Because, and I'm saying this as a general oversight. You know it, you see it all the time. Why are people vulnerable to listen, sender, receiver? But you can't have that unless you have a dialogue. And if you don't have, but if you don't have a dialogue with yourself, how are you going to understand what has value to you? Huh? That's like taking someone to a conference and you can't even what is being said or illustrated. Hey, some of y'all are gonna say, you know what? I remember a long time ago, there was this there was this brother. He'd come on there with his little cigarette and his little cup of coffee. He would always try to support my day. I ain't know him, but he always gave us a pep talk. Don't you realize nothing's for free? These are soul blessings, family. This is part of my journey. Because trust and believe, there's somebody that you have spiritually crossed paths that are praying for you. They don't even have access to your life, but they hope that you live your life. It's written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. You ain't got to say nothing, Craig. Bye, Felicia. It's time for you, family, to dig them boots in, tighten them up, and do the work. If you want your legacy to be what you envision, you can't take a back seat of your life because as long as you take a back seat of your life, guess what? You benefiting the people that don't want you to get there. Did you hear what I said? Come on now. They have figured a, a pattern. That is why now more than ever, family, you are seeing a mass uh, agenda of information being consumed in an alarming rate. You know why? Because they know that as long as you are consuming it, you're gonna lose focus on what you need to. Do. So they put it out there. Come on. There's always something not spoken but intended. And that's what's going on with a lot of family, because you got a lot of family members out there that are waking up to realize that the ideology and the belief systems that was instilled in them from day one was a lie. It was nothing but a tool to enslave them. How about keep them at bay, because the person that was conveying them saw that they were a threat if they ever looked within. Come on, man. Hmm? You actually think you're supposed to wake up feeling less than? You are beautiful. But you let them convince you that that person in the mirror is less than. Who am I talking to? Who told you that? Who convinced you that that beautiful smile is not worth the rays of the sun? Who told you? Because of him? I ain't trying to throw shade, but I'm going to tell you what. When you start to love yourself, you'll understand why people end up being the exclamations, the apostrophes, and the commas of your life. But the clarity cannot be fully embraced until you decide to come back home to you. So what you afraid of? Because right now, you got people that you can't see. Laughing all the way to the bank. Pushing false narratives to see if you can get hooked. You know why they put it out there? Because it's a financial gain. You notice the same people that use these platforms, they change like time, don't they? One minute you're radical, the next minute you're submissive. One minute you're empowering, then you're passive aggressive. Why? Because that is nothing but a representation of the battle that's going in within themselves. But they don't want to claim that because they are insecure. Let me put it in a different perspective. You know what's most possible, what's most powerful is a person who does not know their potential. Some of y'all get that. And they are most threatening because it's like watching a storm brew, right? You see it, but it's far out. So guess what? You have an opportunity to choose if you want to be caught up in it or sidestep it. But you do also understand that there will be people, just because, are going to be caught up in that storm. You think people don't calculate that? And they know that as long as you give that ear, as long as you embrace that whole philosophy that was embraced as a child. Remember this moment when you saw something or heard something and you said, I want to be just like you. You don't realize that was manipulation, right? Positive or negative influence. It matters not unless you embrace it. That means you got to make a decision. You got to make a choice on what path you want to go. You can't play you can't play elementary games like hopscotch through your life. Because guess what'll happen? You'll end up right back where you left. That's why people's mindsets don't change. So let's go a little deeper, family. What's been going on this week? You've got climatic weather on all fronts of the United States. How is that possible with the jet stream? You've got all examples of climate change, weather change, which I thought was kind of funny because the same thing that was going on the West Coast currently was the same thing that played out on the East Coast a month and a half ago, called Matthew. Coincidence? No. That's what happens when you play with the weather. But I also told you a long time ago, when the fool acknowledges that God exists, the earth will shake, and there will become a point where there is a divine reset. You even have those that mock spiritual influence, and they call it the purge, but really the truth is it's nothing but God. Because God gets tired. He gets tired. But because the fact that he gave you two spiritual gifts the moment that your life was sealed by your first breath, and that seal that was placed over your life was your legacy. It will be the reason why you exist and the directions taken. How about the additives of the people and the influences that will influence your cognitive thought? I mean, you really don't think things just happen, do you? Hmm? Do you? You actually believe things just happen? Actually, what you're seeing is the evidence of manifestation. That's why right now there's a lot of examples of real recognizes real. Hmm. But guess what? Does it really matter if you fail to acknowledge its presence to begin with? Hmm? I'm just saying. And I believe that's what's going to go down, sweeties. Hmm. Hmm. A bunch of Trojan horses being put out there to make them look bigger than they are. How long you gonna think that's gonna work? But guess what, Queens? Let me throw this out there to you. You do under. I hope you do understand that you are most under duress right now. There are people that do not want you to come to pass, and what I mean, there are people that don't want you to be mothers. So they got to put enough propaganda out there so that you can do it on your own. They want you to defile everything about you and fall into place. Mhm. You understand that, right? And here's the funny thing, and heed the word of a brother. All those people that are repping that NBC logo in the intended time and moment, you guys are gonna go. You're gonna read it yourself. Let's not look. You know, hey, you know the book. You know what was said. So it's your life. But I'm gonna tell you what. You have those in the feminist movement. You better watch what they do and not what they say. Because trust and believe what I'm telling you. They are using you to elevate them. Hmm. Because a true, first of all, a true feminist, she broken as hell. She broken. Yes, she is. She is also an incarnation of what a narcissist is about. She is very, very intellectually savvy. and she embraces everything she can to keep her placement intact, and she don't mind stepping on you. And see, right now, you see a coalition. You see a coalition with those with that mindset, and for some of you that say, "Well, you know, I was born a man, but I want to be a woman." I'm gonna tell you what: them feminists are gonna stab you in the back. See, they don't mind you playing the position, but they don't want you to claim your position. But it's all false narrative anyway. And eventually you're going to see that. I don't wish bad on nobody, but just know real recognizes real. And that's why there's so much aggression going on, because deep down inside, she knows that she cannot stand next to me. She can't. But deep down inside, she loathes and has deep resentment for the fact that she is not me. Does a cubic zirconia match with a diamond? A diamond is organic. A cubic zirconia is made. So there's a choice there. But I also know what's going to happen too. Because it's going to happen just like they did in the 20s. Something's going to happen. And I don't want to say it's going to be like a bunch of outing going out. But what's going to happen is they're going to realize that this is a futile attempt, and they're going to take that damn mask off to go convert it. Some of them are going to end up being your mother. Some are going to be your grandmother. Some are going to be your sister. And they realize we can't do anything about this. Because history repeats itself, family. But guess what? Here's what you don't see. Remember I told you there are people that don't want you to come into who you're destined to be? There are a bunch of people that don't want you to reproduce too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't want that. I was in 2017. Women, they said, what is it? Oh, it said 25%. It said 18, 25%. I think it says 25%. 25% of the women, female populace are suffering with fibroids. And you know what the outcome of fibroids is? Hysterectomies. You know what happens when you get a hysterectomy? You're not going to be able to give birth. Because people that I've talked to that have had hysterectomies, they say that they go through a deep depression because they feel that part of them, of your anatomical makeup, they feel less than. And the real reason why they feel less than, because they understand that what was evident of choices made that got them to that point where they had no choice to either let go or die. There's most women that suffer from fibroids, untreated, you end up getting cervical cancer. But they ain't talking about that now, are they? And you know who's most at risk? Women between the age of 19 and 37. That's a big gap. But we don't hear the queens talking about that. We talk about, I'm going to get money at all costs. So you're putting a price tag on what should be sacred. Hmm? Come on, queen. You can have all the money in the world and still be broken. Come on now. And you know what happens after that? You start having compulsive disorders, such as you start tapping into being vain. And all it starts is snip, snip. And next thing you know, you end up manipulating that beautiful face to the point that what really needed to be changed all along underneath was here, but you was too afraid to admit it to yourself. I keep trying to tell you, pride and ego only attracts death. That's why, look it up in the CDC family. Our queens, when it comes to leading the pack, when it comes to STDs, guess who's there? And I know there's gonna be somebody say, "Well, Gerald, would some women are caught up because they were manipulated. They were manipulated, and they allowed a man that was infected to compromise them." Okay, let me ask you this. Not to negate or sound desensitive, but nobody has the power to open your legs. Nobody. That's a choice. So you got people out there that are walking around that know that they infected. No. And they hate themselves so much that they use their own mortality as a walking weapon to infect. You see it. You see it. It filters through the media, but it's not talked about. Why is that? You would think right now the best stock to have is in prophylactics, self-protection. Mm-hmm. Why don't they advertise that? Because they don't want you to have an option. They want you to fall. They want you to fall prey. So let's turn the corner. It's just starting to hit home for some of y'all that this is the season of the ant and the grasshopper. Have you figured out which one of you are? Because the grasshopper hops around. They don't have foundation and they don't have protection. They always hop to where it's accepted and embraced. But it's that ant that has the fortitude to take its rightful place, to embrace that journey. You think that ant knows where it goes? No, because it goes off of what? Instinct. What is instinct? Innate discernment. What is discernment? It is connected to your spirit. Come on now. Come on. Why you with Charlie Lump when he's holding you back? Why won't you look at that? You evidently know that he is a thorn in your side, but you still give him a pass. Why? Because of how he feels? Tell the truth. Is that what it is? If you got to make concessions just to have somebody in your life and they don't naturally come with it, why are they there? Because you do know indirectly they are ciphering from your mortality, your essence. You do know that, right? You don't understand that, Gerald. We got chemistry. We got chemistry, Gerald. I don't care what you say. He made me feel safe. Or is he trying to be a carbon copy of your mentality of what a man's supposed to be? How about what your dad should have been? That's the problem with half the world now. It's a pandemic. We don't talk about it. Why is it, Queens? You walking around trying to figure it out. You go from one toxic relationship to the next, and it never plateaus. It gets worse. Who am I talking to? You never thought in a million years he would do what he did, but he did, and had the nerve to scoff at you. You know why he scoffed at you? Because he knew that until you decided to love yourself, he gonna be there. Take an act of Congress to get his ass off the couch, huh? You think I'm hating on you? I love you. I'm one of the good ones. That's why people come back. But you think that's coincidental too, right? You think that's coincidental? People come back from your past. You couldn't even set your watch, but they do. You know why? It's because God loves you so much. He's giving you an opportunity to embrace your truth. Do you get the message? Do you get the lesson? Did you understand what this connection represented? Did you get the reason why the two of you were together? Because you'll come to see those people really are nothing but mere reflections of what's in your spirit. Hmm? And you know what's sad? You got people that will not tell you in your face, but they'll be cunning and covert, hoping that you keep looking over there. Come on now. You can't be something you're not. That's why spiritual gifts are the way they are. Think about it, Queen. You were given a third gift, the gift of nurturement. But until you decide to love yourself, you won't know what nurturement is. You won't understand how sacred that is. And that is probably 9 times out of 10 what you long for. But why aren't we talking about that? No, because they know the power of media and they treat it like a syringe with communication and they insert it in your intellect and they flood you with it. And they know that as long as you stay unfocused, they can also eventually consume and control your behavior. Come on now. Come on. Come on. They trying so hard to emasculate men. You show guys on TV, they feminine as hell. They feminine. No, Joe, that's make them. No, they feminine. That means they've been compromised. That's not a man. That's a little boy and a male shell. Because if you were to take that off to get access to that little boy, he would have a story to tell now, wouldn't he? Who touched you? Who was not there when they needed to be? Hmm? So that should let you know why you got so many feminists out there pissed off. Because they're trying to rewrite what masculinity is. You can't play with divine masculinity if you are a feminine. That's what it's about. The balance between the two. But guess what? Watch this. You know there must be an equal, correct? And you know what happens when you have two equals? You have foundation, but you also have the illustration of what being yoked is all about. So it doesn't matter what you try to do, Craig, you're gonna fall short until you decide to put God in front of it. Because He's gonna give you what you need, not what you want. Why can't you see that? Mm, come on. Think about it. Why are you running? Why are you running, Craig? Meanwhile, they done wrote you off. Oh, it must be something. It ain't something. It's true. And they know that you are aware of it. And they're terrified because you're going to turn around and embrace that and grow. And they don't know how to set their watch to it. Well, guess what? You're going to break those rough edges off. Yes, you are. Mm-hmm. Some of y'all got that same mindset. Y'all, you're embodying who you are. You comfortable. You got that Jack the Ripper mindset. Like, you know what? I ain't taking those shorts. This is who I am, and I'm going to defend mine. I'm comfortable in my skin because I love myself. I'm worth the investment. And those people, they like this. Oh no, what are we gonna do? We can't take advantage of them no more. We can't manipulate her no more. What we gonna do? So what do? They run for the hills because they know you reap it yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about those people because you will see them again. And here's the sad thing about it, and I don't wish bad on nobody. Them same people that took pleasure in your disappointment, them same people that enjoyed watching your uneasiness, them same people that did not serve the representation for your development, guess what's going to happen? You're going to see them fall. And you got to be prepared for that. Oh, yeah. Mm-mm. That's why there's no retirement plan for the dope man. Never is. You got two options: the pen or the cemetery. That's the two choices you got. And all that struggle and strife, putting yourself out there, you know what's going to happen? Somebody else is going to benefit from it. It always works out that way. But there's always going to be somebody that thinks that they're smarter than the average bear, only to be on headlines news on what not to do. So, so for those people that feel that their day ain't coming, it's coming. You stay prayed up. You stay grounded. You allow your body to embrace all that it has been exposed to. How about you start taking care of it? How about start getting that beautiful rest? How about you cut the damn stress out your life? Why is he in your ear? Why? What's he bring to the table but distraction? Que sera, sera. Because as long as you give them a platform to hear, they ain't changing. Come on, man. You deserve better. Well, you say that, Gerald. You say that, but you know, what do? You all you do is point out the things that are wrong. Because guess what? I'm just looking just like you. I can't live your life, but do you think I don't want you to have the best life? I'm giving you something that your circle won't. It's truth. I'm the one telling you how beautiful you are, but you still can't see it for yourself. You think he gonna tell you that while he pulling them down? Hell no, he gonna lie to you. You think she gonna support you? Now she gonna drain you and drain your pockets. Why? Because you are means to an end. So once again, you can't build with her. You can't build with somebody that don't have a foundation with themselves first. You want to understand somebody's strength? Have them speak their truth. When's the last time you had a conversation with someone that you care about and said, what are you insecure about? If they can't respond just like that, they're playing you. They're playing you because they don't want you to know the truth. Because they know that if you found out the truth, you be gone. Let me tell you something. You will come to understand. You will have a handful of people in your life that time stands still for. They love you unconditionally. Oh, yeah, they do. But maybe the reason why they're not in your life directly is because it's too painful to watch you make the choices you make. Let's talk about that. Maybe they are seeing the value of their life and they know that we are all on borrowed time, but you are choosing to be stagnant. What's keeping you there? What's keeping you there? Huh? A stolen moment? Do you realize how many people are impacted by deflection? Have you ever just taken into account how many people you laid upon? How about you allowed on you? Where are they at? Where are they at? Now, if your position is instant deflection, that means there's something broken. Because the truth of the matter is, they came into your life to distract you from something that was too raw, too painful. Or maybe you didn't have the tools to deal with. Hmm? That's why you see a lot of people reflect eventually in their lives. They look back at where they've been and embarrassment comes because they're like, you know what? If I had looked at what I needed to, they would have never heard you breathe. Come on now, think about it, Queen. Think about all the men you allowed in the secret garden that didn't even deserve to hear you breathe. Didn't deserve to hear you breathe, but left a disappointment, left a trauma, left pain. And the sad thing about it is, they didn't even give a damn how you are. They more or less said, oh well, oh well. That's why I kind of shake my head when I hear people say this. To get over someone is to get under someone. That's weak, right? That's a weak mindset to have. Because you basically saying, instead of having the courage to reflect on where I've been, how about to heal? I'm going to allow that to repeat itself, but with a different face. You're too precious for that. But look, I've also come to know this too. A lot of times when people link up with people, do not think for 1 second that that person, no matter the intentions, did not do assessment of this. They looked at your family and they looked at the fact of how supportive it was. Mary Bell, the community outreach representative, you know, she's loose. She's very promiscuous. She's very scatterbrained. You know why? Because they all know this. The commonality of these fools is they know that you had no male influence in your life. You had nobody that would come and stand by you and protect you even from you. They knew that. How about defend your honor? They knew that. And here's a big one. A lot of these fools out here know this one. They know if you ain't got a connection with your daddy, you ain't got a connection with yourself. Females do it all the time too. But you look at it from a different perspective. You use their genitalia as economic gain. So does that not, isn't that a example of cash and carry? Come on now. But the funny thing about it, they all want that white dress. You can't have no white dress if you don't have that heart right. Oh, girl, you can't say that. I made mistakes, but why won't you love you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Come on now. Come on, Kings. Peep game. If you think majority of women do not dress for you, they dress to validate their gender. Oh yeah, they don't want to be the oddball, and there is a insecurity by way of competition for validation. Mm. You thought she was wearing that for you? No, she's wearing it for the people outside your door. Till somebody comes sniffing under her skirt, and then the truth comes. But guess what? That's not shade, family. What's shame is you choose not to change it. Maybe that's the reason why there's so much anger. But you do understand this, family. There are people who look just like you and people who don't. They do not want peace on earth. Come on now, think about it. There are people that want social unrest at all costs. These same people that are in your colleges and universities, these are the same people that are also all for chemical chemical exploration. Oh yeah, there's a lot of drug use. And don't you realize most of the people that do drugs have no clarity? And why do people get high? They get high to escape the reality of maybe the choices they've made. But do they fail to take account that when they come down, they're always argumentative, they're always angry, because that's nothing but denial of the reality that was there and evident the whole time. There's no gain if you invest in deflection, except for those who are using it to manipulate you. So, do you know who you are? Do you? How much pain you gonna carry on that backpack of yours? You better love yourself, because unfortunately there are those that want you to keep on keeping on because they've already calculated you and they already know that you're not a threat, and that's tragic. Have a blessed weekend, family. Place God first. Love yourself. Make this a weekend that you have the courage to reflect not only where you are today, but where you've been from, where you've been. Because if it was meant for that to be your reality, wouldn't you still be there? I'm just saying. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. You can't be nothing that you ain't. And imitation is the first denial. So claim you. You're worth it. Be blessed.